Hello, my dear YouTube friends, and welcome to another Saturday, another fairy tale story. I hope you like these videos, and I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment field. And before we start, I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up. It really does help. It helps my video get out there, and other people will find it. So, please do that. And if you aren't already subscribed, please consider doing so. And next to the subscription button, there is a bell. Please ding that one, and you'll be notified whenever I put up a new video. So yeah, that would really help. And yeah, let's get to it. As always, I'm gonna be looking down because the story is on my phone, and you can do whatever you want while I'm reading you this fairy tale. You can clean, you can diamond paint, you can knit, you can crochet. Well, yeah, anything you want. You can let your children listen to this story as well. Just remember that this story is very old, and the language and the way of writing is different from what people do today. I mean, there is a moral to the story, and it was mostly written for adults, even though children were reading them too. But just remember, that the story is old and there was a different way of doing it. So, yeah, reading time. The story is called The Conceited Apple Branch. It was the month of May. The wind still blew cold, but from bush and tree, field and flower came the welcome sound, "Spring is come." Wildflowers in profusion covered the hedges. Under the little apple tree, Spring seemed busy, and told his tale from one of the branches, which hung fresh and blooming, and covered with delicate pink blossoms that were just ready to open. The branch well knew how beautiful it was. This knowledge existed as much in the leaf as in the blood. It was therefore not surprised when a nobleman's carriage in which sat a young countess stopped in the road just by. She said that an apple branch was the most lovely object and an emblem of spring in its most charming aspect. Then the branch was broken off for her, and she held it in her delicate hand and sheltered it with her silk parasol. Then they drove to the castle in which were lofty halls and splendid drawing rooms. Pure white curtains fluttered before the open windows, and beautiful flowers stood in the shining transparent vases, and in one of them, which looked as if it had been cut out of newly fallen snow, the apple branch was placed among some fresh light twigs of beech. It was a charming sight. Then the branch became proud, which was very much like human nature. People of every description entered the room, and according to their position in society, so dared they to express their admiration. Some few said nothing, others expressed too much, and the apple branch very soon got to understand that there wasn't much difference in the character of human beings as in those of plants and flowers. Some are all for pomp and parade. Others have a great deal to do to maintain their own importance, while the rest might be spared without much loss to society. So thought the apple branch as he stood before the open window, from which he could see out over gardens and fields, where there were flowers and plants enough for him to think and reflect upon, some rich and beautiful, some poor and humble indeed. "Poor despised herbs," said the apple branch. "There is really a difference between them and such as I am. How unhappy they must be, if they can feel as those in my position do. There is a difference indeed, and so there ought to be, or we should all be equals." And the apple branch looked with a sort of pity upon them, especially on the certain little flowers that is found in fields and in ditches. No one bound these flowers together in a nosegay. They were too common. They were even known to grow between the paving stones, shooting up everywhere, like bad weeds, and they bore the very ugly name of dog flowers or dandelion. Poor despised plant, said the apple broad. It is not your fault that you are so ugly, and that you have such an ugly name. But it is with plants as with men. There must be a difference. A difference, cried the sunbeam, as he kissed the blooming apple branch, and then kissed the yellow dandelion out in the field. All were brothers, and the sunbeam kissed them, the poor flowers as well as the rich. The apple board had never thought of the boundless love of God, which extended all over the works of creation, over everything which lives and moves, and has its being in him. He had never thought of the good and beautiful, which are so often hidden, but can never remain forgotten by him. Not only among the lower creations, but also among men. The sunbeam, the ray of light, knew better. You do not see very far, nor very clearly, he said to the apple branch. Which is the despised plant you so specially pity? The dandelion, he replied. No one ever places it in his nosegay. It is often trodden underfoot. There is so many of them, and when they run to seed, they have flowers like wool, which fly away in little pieces over the road and cling to the dresses of the people. They are only weeds, but of course there must be weeds. Oh, I am really very thankful that I was not made like one of these flowers. There came presently across the field a whole group of children, the youngest of whom was so small that it had to be carried by the others. And when he was seated on the grass among the yellow flowers, he laughed aloud with joy, kicked out his little legs, rolled about, plucked the yellow flowers, and kissed them in a childlike innocence. The elder children broke off the flowers with long stems, bent the stalks one round the other to form links, and made first a chain for the neck, and then one to go across the shoulders and hang down to the wrist, and at last a wreath to wear around the head, so that they looked quite splendid in their garlands of green stems and golden flowers. But the eldest among them gathered carefully the faded flowers, on the stem of which was grouped together the seed in the form of a white feathery coronal. Sorry. These loose, airy wool flowers were very beautiful and looked like fine snowy feathers of down. The children held them to their mouth and tried to blow away the whole coronal with one puff of the breath. They had been told by their grandmothers that whoever did so would be sure to have new clothes before the end of the year. The despised flower was by this raised to the position of a prophet or foreteller of events. Do you see, said the sunbeam, do you see the beauty of these flowers? Do you see the powers of giving pleasure? Yes, to children, said the apple board. By and by an old woman came into the field, and, with a blunt knife without a handle, began to dig round the roots of some of the dandelion plants, and pulled them up. With some of these she intended to make tea for herself, but the rest she was going to sell to the chemist and obtain some money. But beauty is of higher value than all this, said the apple tree branch. Only the chosen ones could be admitted into the realms of the beautiful. There's a difference between plants, just as there is a difference between men. Then the sunbeam spoke out of the boundless love of God, as seen in creation, and over all that lives, and of the equal distribution of his gifts, both in time and in eternity. That is your opinion, said the apple board. Then some people came into the room, and among them the young countess, the lady who had placed the apple board in the transparent vase so pleasantly beneath the ray of sunlight. She carried in her hand something that seemed like a flower. The object was hidden by 2 or 3 great leaves, which covered it like a shield, so that no draught or gust of wind could injure it. and it was carried more carefully than the apple branch had ever been. Very cautiously, the large leaves were removed, and there appeared the feathery seed crown of the despised dandelion. This was what the lady had so carefully plucked and carried home so safely covered that not one of the delicate feathery arrows of which its mist-like shape was so lightly formed should flutter away. She now drew it forth quite uninjured, and wondered at its beautiful form and airy likeness, and singular construction, so soon to be blown away by the wind. "See," she exclaimed, "how wonderfully God has made this little flower. I will paint it with the apple branch together." Every one admired the beauty of the apple board, but this humble flower has been endowed by heaven with another kind of loveliness, and although they differ in appearance, both are the children of the realm of beauty. Then the sunbeam kissed the lovely flower, and he kissed the blooming apple branch, upon whose leaves appeared a rosy blush. The end. So how did you like this story? Did you like the morale? I mean, it makes you think, doesn't it? I really like these fairy tales from Hans Christian Andersen because they make you think, and most Saturdays after I've been reading these fairy tales, I end up, thinking about what the morale might be and what could I learn from these fairy tales. And I really hope that, you might do the same. So, yeah, let me know down in the comment field how you like the story and how you see the morale and what we could learn from it. So yeah, until my next video, I hope you will join me tomorrow Sunday in my live, where you, my dear viewers, get to help me decide which diamond painting over there will be my very first Diamond Art Club painting. And I will show you the finished AliExpress painting. But I'm really looking forward to help let you decide which one I should do next. Oh, in the background you hear David. He's just come home from his bike ride. So yeah, see you tomorrow, and otherwise I will see you on Tuesday for my weapon chat. Until then, bye. See you. Have a great weekend. Love you all.